Okay, so went and got some ice for that bee sting. So now what I've learned, I just learned it lately. See me come lately, um, that the sooner I get ice on my bee sting, the less likely I'm going to have any reaction at all. Stop it in its tracks. Stop that immune response from traveling at the speed of light, 186,000 miles a second. Ah! And so let's slow down that process. So right now what's going on is I got some navigation going on. So um, I can't tell if it's growing or shrinking. It's been going on. It's been going on for about 5 minutes, and so I don't know how it's going to keep going. So in reflection, because I do that, I reflect, especially when I'm in front of a mirror. And so she might have taken a couple weeks break, because I don't think I actually saw any navigation going on for a couple weeks, which is good. That means maybe she's getting it, right? And so it's possible that this hive may survive without me putting any chemicals. I do have a chemical called Apiguard um, that I could put in that hive, that farm hive, and yeah, but I, I'm okay if I lose the hive. This one, I don't want no farm animals. When I first bought my first beehive, I was hoping that I was going to get my bee box, my packaged bees. You know, I was thinking, I'm going to go with the, with the hope that I got a good queen that knows how to lay intermittently. Well, no, I had a total of 4 hives, and I had a total of 6 queens, and neither all of them were farm queens. I found out. Um, you can find that out just by their behavior, what they're doing. Um, right? There's no intermittent, like no. If I go for several weeks and I don't see any navigational flights, because I come out, I make a point this time of year, starting in July, to come out here around 4 o'clock to see what's going on. Is she breaking? Is she breaking? Is she breaking? And so now that I got 2 hives, I do that on 2 hives. But um, so I'm thinking that she did take a couple weeks break, if not two, three, I mean 3. So I'm witnessing a navigational orientational flight right now, and so that's okay this time of year. She's laying eggs. Now my other hive, same thing. So these ones that are coming out, she laid these 3 weeks ago, approximately, give or take a day, because she laid them. They became nursing bees for I don't know 4 or 5 days, sometimes a week. So it could be these bees that are out here navigating right now. They could be 28 days old. Um, so um, so I think she stopped laying. If that's the case, then she stopped laying around the 1st of August, or somewhere middle of August, somewhere in there. She stopped laying for that time period, like 2, 3 weeks. That's good. The hive might survive. The hive might survive now. Those mites, because that gives that time for those bromites to, drop. Because they lay their eggs. The only place they can lay their eggs is in the cells. If there's no cells to lay their eggs, well, they can't produce. If they can't produce, then you get that decline naturally, right? And their life cycle, a bromite's life cycle, is very close to that of a bee, on average, right? Um, so that's kind of it. So the other one also went into a small navigational swarm, and so my swarm that I caught, a peach hive, they've been doing navigational flights for about 5 days. So she laid those out about 3 weeks ago or so. Give or take a few minutes. And so my hope is that I won't see any more for a while. And my preference is to not see any navigational flights for 3 weeks. So a burst of navigational flights may be going on for a week. That's cool. I'm cool with that. A week, that replenishes the bees in the hive. They can lay up to 3,000 a day. So you do the math. So in 10 days, How many bees you talking? That's right, 7. Oh, wait, let me do that math. Yeah, so 30,000 bees. That's a lot of bees in 10 days. That's a really good increase of the health of the hive as far as its girth, its strength, its ability to protect itself, defend itself from stuff, and feed the new larvae and take care of the queen and keep the combs in shape. I noticed that there was a larvae of a um, wax moth coming out of the main hive here, the one that's just always infected with something, farm animals, and so there's larvae and they're eating on their comb. So what I'm gonna end up doing is I'm gonna break that hive down, going into the winter. I'm gonna break that down to one box. I'm gonna give most of the honey to the other one, the one that I want to survive and be strong coming into spring. I want to make sure they have plenty of food to get through the winter strong, and just hoping that they found enough pollen. I'm not sure if I'm going to avoid feeding them pollen or not. I might experiment with that. Oh, caught another wasp in my wasp bag. And I've killed over a dozen wasps just in the last 10 minutes. What I like to do, I don't want to get rid of all the wasps. Wasps have an important value in the ecosystem, and particularly in my property. I like the idea of having wasps and yellow jackets on my property. In fact, I have watered them on purpose to increase their population, because what they do is, because they're predators. Once I have a good balanced level of wasps and yellow jackets on my property, I notice I don't get bit by mosquitoes anymore, because they're mosquito killers. I watched them do it. I watched a wasp land on a leaf and just sit there for a few moments. Then it slowly crept to the edge of the leaf, to the dark side of the leaf. Right when it got to the edge, it stayed there for a second. And then it, like a flash of lightning, it went to the other side to catch that mosquito that, was hiding in the shade, waiting to come out so it can get me. So they have their purpose. Now, wasps are also really good pollinators. They go from one flower to the next to get the nectar as well, and they carry pollen. They don't carry it on their legs. They just carry it on their body inadvertently, on the little hairs and on their body. And so they're also good pollinators, wasps and yellow jackets. And so what my goal is just to keep them from having a memory in this area, so they don't overpopulate this area where my bees are and overwhelm my bees. So what I do is I'll come out here on my breaks, and I'll take out the ones in this area, because what they do is they'll find some food. I'll watch them just come down like a helicopter and pick up my girls right off the board. Perfectly healthy girls, right? Mind their business. Off they go with them, take them to their as food. And so, what I do is, I got a wasp in here that's trying to feed on their own. I got a pot of them down here. So, so what I try to do is just bring down the population, so it makes it easier for my girls to manage them. If that population gets too high, my girls can be overwhelmed. I've seen it happen. Just so many wasps trying to get in my hive. That's almost my girls saying, "Please, somebody help me." So I do. Right? I am the beekeeper. Cuckoo, cuckoo. Right? And so as a beekeeper, it's our responsibility to, like, taking care of your pets, your dog, your cat, make sure that they have what they need so that they're healthy and they're not under stress all the time. So as a beekeeper, I understand what my responsibilities are, and I engage in those responsibilities responsibly, whether I like it or not. It's part of accepting the responsibility of animals, no matter what animal we have, even if it's a lion, a tiger, or a bear. Oh my, it don't matter. Right? We got to accept the responsibility of their care. And so I bring down the population. So what happens is these wasps not wasps, and I don't know if I've ever seen any hornets. So wasps and yellow jackets, once they get a food source. And they find a food source in this area and they take it back. Well, they tell their girlfriends, and then more and more and more, and then the next thing you know, this whole area is just swamped with them. And my girls become overwhelmed, and I just don't like that. That just ain't gonna work. That's what I do. Whoa, it's getting bigger. So there's more girls coming out, navigating. So you can see here. Yeah. So what they do is they'll fly up there. They come right back. Here comes some more. Well, I can watch them literally fly up, and then fly. The same ones fly right back down. That's where it's at. That's where, and they keep going further and further away until they go away till we get their nectar and pollen. Right? And so that's what they do. And so yeah, there's still that navigation has been going on. That orientation flight's been going on for I think 15 minutes now. Maybe 20. I'm distracted all the time. I got all kinds of things I think about as I'm talking. Multitasking, thinking, and so yeah. So I'm hoping that this icing will bring it down. I got to it late. If I would have when I got stung, if I would have promptly went in and packed my whole hand into, just put it in some ice water for 5 minutes, the odds are really good I would have experienced nothing but a couple of itches briefly between now and the next day or so, and that would have been it like last time. Yeah, last time I got stung on the leg. I went there and quickly packed it on ice. The ice, when I first put it on there, it hurt, it stung. But after 5 minutes, I noticed nothing. I thought, So I went about my business, and throughout that whole day, there was just like a little itch like that on that area. And that was it. No swelling, no itching after that, nothing. That's the first time I ever got stung, or that's all that happened. Just, what? Oh, okay, and it was gone. So icing it. So what it does is it stops it slows down that signal reaction to your immune system, because it's a chain reaction that occurs. And so stop the chain reaction. Just slow it down to a crawl. And they're going, what was I here for? I forgot. The immune system just kind of shuts up because it forgot why it was there. Now do they think? No, they just react. The cells just react to certain stimuli for certain reasons, right? Epidemiological response. so yeah, I got it kind of late. I probably didn't get to it till about 15-20 minutes or more after I got stung. That's not a good approach. I got that paneling out there I pulled out a while ago. There's bees all over it, looking for resources. So another thing about this time of year, man, there are so many this time of year of bees from other hives, maybe from the woods up there. Maybe because I live in the city. There's, you can only have 3 beehives, so there's no apiary around my area. I don't live near no farms yeah, this is city. And there's a limit of 3 beehives that anybody can have, which is good. That allows once the beehive settles into their environment, into the ecosystem, they become adapted to the varroa mites, viruses that they carry, and the variants that they carry. Even if that infection does get in the hive, the odds are that the hive's going to be just fine, because they are genetically been modified to be able to address that particular variant of that particular DWV, which is deformed wing virus, right? They adapted, and so that's the cool thing. If we can get a swarm in our area that's already been there for years, it's already adapted to the environment, the ecosystem, and all the viruses and bacteria that are kind of mutated in that area the odds of the hive surviving long term or indefinitely is really high, as long as we do our part as beekeepers to keep it that way. Because that's one that I caught. I haven't had to do nothing in the hive. Nothing. I'd go to do something that I typically do with this main hive, the farm creatures. Well, these girls really don't need nothing. So, and that's how it should be. You shouldn't have to put chemicals and pesticides and crazy things to your hive. They should be able to take care of themselves. And you just go get the honey when you want some honey. Me myself, I don't eat honey. Um, it has about what is it? About a, a quarter% higher of calories and fats and things in it than even table sugar. And I don't eat table sugar at all. Zero. I use natural sweeteners. Like when I want to sweeten something up, I'll take my grapes. Those are naturally sweet. Red Table. Yeah, I'll take these, puree them, um, or peaches. So I got peaches that get really sweet. I let them almost fall off the vine. That's when they're at their sweetest, right? Really loaded. And I also have, so I got apples that I use for sweetener. I got some really sweet apples too. So I'll puree those down. I'll pick a bunch of apples, grapes, peaches, something else I use for sweetener too. But I puree those all down. So I want to have a cup of tea. I want to sweeten up a little bit. I grab just a little cube. I puree my grapes and stuff like that in cubes. And because grape is pretty benign in flavor. And so I'll just drop a cube of pureed grape into my tea to sweeten it up naturally. And I leave all the fiber, so I don't juice anything. So all my peach fiber, all of my grape fiber, all of my apple fiber, including the skin, um, that gets consumed. I use that. I puree all the whole thing, the whole package deal, because I don't use any pesticides in anything, no chemicals, no fertilizers. All my fertilizer I make myself organically. I have what's called a vermiculture bin, and I grow worms, regular worms that produce what's called worm castings. So when I want a little fertilizer sprinkled around my plants, I can do that. I also have big 30-gallon drums that I put a bunch of weeds and stuff like that. I let it set for about a year, and it creates a soup of dead organic um, that's good for fertilizer. And so I got two big 30-gallon ones over there. One's about half empty. But I let them cure for about a year or more. My preference is 18 months. It's just weeds and water. I'll throw some. I'll typically throw a bunch of urea in there, um, and let nature do its course. My plants love it. They do well. I gotta be careful though. Can't fertilize. I gotta use my stuff like when you buy stuff that's concentrated. A couple teaspoons to a gallon. Yeah, I have to be careful with my fertilizer because once it's cured, it's just as strong as any fertilizer, and it's powerful stuff. So my tendency is always more is better. No. I killed my lemon cucumber plants thinking that. No, my homemade fertilizer is as strong as any in general. And so a couple tablespoons into a gallon, then put it on my lemon cucumbers. That killed them all. I had like 4 lemon cucumbers, and it killed them all. Too much fertilizer is not good. It's like too much vitamin A or too much anything. Too much water would drown your brain. So, yeah, I'm gonna have to wait to see if this ends up controlling that swelling, because it started to swell pretty good before I finally got to it. Just had to finish my duties here, I was in the middle of doing stuff. Finish my job, then I'll take care of the swelling. So I'll probably go in there and take a couple ibuprofen. That'll also help keep the swelling down, I think. I avoid NSAIDs, anti-inflammatories and stuff like that. Um, but I do take them when I know that for that particular thing right then and there, that's optimal for that reason. Because I understand how inflammation works, the biology of it, epidemiology response, and so they're still going strong. They must have had a delay or something, because sometimes what happens when it's cooler weather. So if she is still in there laying 3,000 a day, or up to that, whatever, and there's some colder weather or something, instead of coming out every day, there might be a buildup of 3 or more days. So I got a nice day, and they all come out at once, and it's like it'll fill this cove, because it's like a cove, right? Pretty cool. And it just fills this cove, and I say, okay, I guess I'm gonna leave. Time to go. It's just a matter of time one inadvertently gets into my eyeball or something. And so, yeah, this boy has learned to leave when things get heavy. Yeah. So, okay, that was just one little thing I wanted to add about about the navigational that started happening. Um, and so I thought I'd share that. And like I said, the other one had a little small one. She is so good. The swarm I caught, she is such a good girl, right? She she just has a wonderful pattern. I can't wait to make splits from her. I will not. I will avoid making any splits from this farm queen. That would be a constant. To make splits from this farm queen would be a constant battle for me. To do something that should be natural and organic that happens on its mostly on its own. This hive is just a constant battle to keep alive and healthy. Just constant, constant, constant. Right? I gotta always be out here. What are you? Are you okay today? What's it? Oh, I gotta do that now. I gotta do that now. Oh my gosh, I gotta do that too. Oh my. That's what farm bees are. High maintenance, right? Kind of like that. Kind of like that woman, you know, she's got to have 100 pair of shoes or 200 pair of shoes and 10 wardrobes. Well, that's kind of like this beehive, right? High maintenance. Um, yeah, it looks cool. Yeah, they're still going at it. So I'm thinking there was maybe a 3 day buildup of egg laying that's hatched out and over the last 3 weeks, and now they're coming out. Yeah, actually, I think I already mentioned. Yeah, I think there was about 3 weeks so I didn't see any. It's a good sign. Maybe she's getting it right. I think I already said that too, didn't I? Yeah, I repeat myself, don't you? Just like for me, life is like a story, and if it's a good story, uh, I'll watch it again, like a movie. Yeah, I think I watched Star Trek, the last movie, the first. Okay, so with Christopher Pine, Chris Pine. Um, I think I must have watched that 5 times. In fact, I might go in and watch it tonight. It's been a couple of years, I think, since I've seen it. Um, and that's kind of how I see things. So if something's worth knowing, for me, if it's worth knowing, um, it's worth saying. And if it's worth saying and knowing, it's worth repeating. That's kind of how, and that's how I keep things refreshed in my brain as well, right? And so I'll reflect on certain things so that I keep them fresh. I like fresh things, especially organic. Everything I eat, probably 90, oh, more than 90. Pretty much 100% of stuff I eat is organic. Um, Pretty close. When I go to the store, it's very rare I buy something. I might buy myself a treat on such rare occasions, maybe after a couple months. You know, I haven't had that. I used to love to eat that when I was that big boy. And I'm okay. I can have that today. I just won't keep it in my house. I just buy that for now. I won't keep that in my house. I won't stock it. I won't store it. I won't buy it again for months. Um, I haven't been to a fast food restaurant. Oh, I have once. I did once. Um, it's when I was in an emergency room. So I hadn't eaten all day, and I was thinking maybe that's why I had that bad response because I got stung on an empty stomach. So on my way home from the emergency room, I stopped at I think it was Burger King or Carl's Jr. or something. I stopped to load myself up with fats, and actually I feel better. So, but other than that, no, this homie don't do that. That was like there was a reason for that, right? I want something now. I have to go home and prepare something. I want something now to balance this out, right? Because there's certain things that happen to us. If it happens to us on an empty stomach, it can actually kill us on an empty stomach. Right? It's weird how the immune system responds that way, and so I understand that, and that's why I did that. You know, and I haven't done it since. I didn't. I think the last time I did that before was probably 5 years before that. Right? 5 years before that was the last time I went to a fast food restaurant. Yeah, the hamburgers, the fries, and all that stuff, and condiments, and all those. I gotta watch these girls because I never know what they're gonna get right in my face, and just all of a sudden decide that they're gonna get me. Yesterday, I had one. I think she was sitting on my hand, my arm, or she sat on my arm, and she looked up at me, and she was just staring at me for a few moments, and she put her head down, and she just started cleaning herself. Oh, he's cool. He's no threat. And she just laid there and groomed herself, and you know, it was funny. I like watching that. Yeah, I've had maybe 6 at a time, just kind of on me, crawling around, stopping and grooming themselves, and just crawling all around me. I stay still. I don't respond. I let them do their thing until they fly off. Or if I have to get up, I go, get off me. And then they get off. So, yeah. To me, these girls are my pets. And the thing about having a pet, that's a wild pet, that can bite, right? If you understand their demeanor, understand what their triggers are, it's like a dog. If we don't understand a dog's triggers, they could become aggressive against us. I've had that happen with animals, with dogs, and when I was younger, a young guy, kid. My dog bit me, Mom. Well, what were you doing to it? I was just pushing it around. Well, don't push it around. It doesn't like it. Oh, shoot. I think I was tugging on its collar, trying to teach it to get used to walking on a collar with a collar and a leash. It didn't like that at all. So I was like tugging on it, and it got aggressive. Anyway, I can really smell the honey. The honey's filling the cove, especially since I put that big jar of sugar syrup. There's that squirrel. Oh, that's the same one I caught, I bet, the other day and let go. So since I put that jar up there, this cove is even more full of honey smell. So what they'll do is they'll take that nectar, because 1-to-1 sugar syrup is nectar. Nectar from a flower is sucrose and fructose. That's exactly what sugar table sugar. And so when I gave them that jar yesterday and they sucked it all down, what they do is they put it in their nectar sac. They got a nectar sac that's right next to their gut sac, and the moment as it's coming in, it's already being converted towards honey in their honey sac, right? And so they're sucking it in. All the enzymes are breaking it down, preparing it for a honey exchange. So what's a honey exchange? Well, they'll get it to a certain point, and then they'll pass it to one of their sisters. She'll get it to a certain point as she's walking to where she's thinking she might want to put it. Then she might pass it to another sister who's closer to where she wants to put it. I don't know how many times it gets exchanged from one mouth to another. Right? They do that, and they spit it to their sisters, and then they spit it to the other sister, and then finally it gets to the one who's ready to store it, and then they store it. That one stores it. And that's how honey gets stored, right? So the purpose is they're trying to suck out as much moisture. My girls are attacking marauders left and right over here. They're attacking other bees that are trying to get in. So I narrowed that area way down, so it's more difficult for them to do that. And there's a lot of marauders trying to get in right now at the top. Even wasps and yellowjackets, all over the top. Because I just popped that. By the way, I burp a lot because my food's organic, and when we eat a lot of fibrous food, we actually have more air come out. We burp more. That's good. That's actually that's natural, right? To belch out organic. There's no odor, there's no smell. It's just air that's being burped out. It's just nothing. Now, when I used to eat processed foods, oh yeah, there was some odor behind those burps. Yeah, not anymore. It's just, if any odor I ever smell, it's like theater popcorn smell. That's it. That's the only smell I've ever remember smelling from my burps or my body odor. My body odor also smells like if I've ever smelled anything, because I have an ABC11 gene, so I don't use deodorant because I don't need it. People who have an ABC11 gene, um, we don't produce the proteins that the bacteria thrives on underneath our arms because the bacteria is in the air. That bacteria that makes us smell bad, we have to use deodorant, it's everywhere. It's in the air, it lands on our skin. And so anywhere where there's moisture that starts to build up, that bacteria grows quickly by the millions. Then it dies and grows and dies, and then you get the odor stink, right? Armpit smell. And that's what causes. That's why we have to wear deodorant. Well, I don't, but that's why people wear deodorant is because they don't have that ABC1 gene, and so they produce what's called common proteins when they perspire. For me, because I don't produce that. Now, when I was out of shape and I was eating processed foods, yep, it, it nullified my ABC1 gene. It's as if I didn't have it. But once I cleaned myself up and got all the metals and all the toxins down to zero, my toxicity level down to zero, um, my ABC11 gene flourished, and it has for 5 years. So I get no body odor, and it's the only time I ever. It's really rare, but I actually kind of like it. It smells like theater popcorn. Maybe I should go watch a movie. The smell is right. Yeah, I forgot what there was a certain percentage of the population that has that gene. So if we keep ourselves healthy, optimized, our health optimized, we're eating healthy foods, natural organic stuff that's from nature, from the field. So when I go to get my meal, I typically come out here and say, what's ripe, and I start foraging for my dinner. And I'll pick this and that, and mix it all together, and go in there and cook something if I need to cook something down or whatever, tomatoes or whatever. And I just, they're still navigating. Whoa, that's a long time. And so, and I limit my any meats. I limited that to no more than once a week. So once a week, I'll maybe throw in some chicken breast in one of my stir fries or one of my soups or whatever I make. Um, one of my mixes of something. Okay, this wasp wants in my face. And so, what? Go away, you beast. Wasps. There's a lot of competition right now for food. So between the wasps and the yellow jackets and the bees that are coming from other places and all that all that stuff, there's a lot of competition. And so for 3 years before I got my first bee package, I hardly saw any bees on my property. My plants, my gardens didn't do well because they didn't get um, pollinated well. My cherries, I had a cherry tree that rarely would I see cherries in it for years. 3 years, 4 years, virtually no cherries. And so that's when I decided I was going to get a beehive. Okay, that's enough of this. Being an organic gardener myself, I got to have bees. So that's why I initially decided to get a beehive, was because I'm an organic gardener and I need some help from those girls. And so that's why I did it. And now I got so many cherries this year. I got everything's doing so well. I don't even plant anything. Everything just comes back on its own. I think the only thing I planted this year was sweet peas, along with some snow peas, and that's the only thing I ever started or planted or put in the ground. Everything else just came back on its own. I let it go to seed it on its own, and just let it do its nature thing, and then they come back in the same spot the next year. I pick what I want, let it go. Let's go back to nature and regrow itself the next year. And that's how I grow my gardens, just organically. Right? But there's certain things that I'll plant that I haven't planted before. Then I'll start them from seed. Right? I'm gonna try those lemon cucumbers again. They're like round lemon cucumbers. I got the seeds for them. Just didn't get around to starting them again this year. Still navigating. Whoa, well, she must she must have had a lot of girls up. And that's okay. This time of year, I'm okay with that. So she made them. She stopped for 3 weeks. So she probably stopped. Oh, she probably stopped. Wow, a long time ago. So if she stops again, so if I don't see any more navigation after say 3 days, 2 days, I don't see any more navigation. I think this hive's going to be just fine. I don't have to put that happy guard or anything like that. She's starting to get the she's starting to get the swing of it. Well, maybe I'm not a farm animal. I think I'm just going to go back to the way I was instinctively. Right. All right. Please subscribe, thumbs up, ring the bell, leave a comment. There's not one successful podcaster out there. Not one. There's not one podcaster out there that makes money, right? Without you. Not one. So it's when we subscribe to that person that we're watching is when they eventually get monetized, and of course that's an inspirational point for somebody who does YouTubing. I'm about a quarter away there, and so that's an inspirational point. When somebody gets monetized, they go, "Oh, maybe I can make a penny now." They put thousands of hours into it, right? Made nothing, and usually it's because some folks like me and you, we don't subscribe to what we're watching, right? I've made probably 500 podcasts, right? And I'm only a quarter away there to being monetized. And if everybody who watched my podcast since I started subscribed to my channel, I would have been monetized the first month. But that's not how we are. I'm not that way. I don't subscribe to everything I watch. Jeez, right? And that's okay. So, all right, that's it. You have a nice day. Bye now.